Hi everybody.
Hi everybody.
Parashat Vaera. In this parsha, God is sending Moshe to Paro. Moshe goes to Paro and tells him, in the name of God of Israel, let my people go. Let the people of Israel go out of Egypt. Paro refuses. God strikes Egypt with 10 plagues. In this parsha, we have the seven first plagues out of 10 that God strikes Egypt.
The 10 plagues are 10 for a reason. Just like we have 10 spheres in the tree of life, it was needed in Egypt, because of all the negativity, to give them 10 strikes, 10 plagues, to break all the negativity that they managed to put in all the channels of light. Because by the Egyptian stopping and breaking the spirit of the Israelites, they made the energy of death stronger in the world, and they brought many plagues to the world. When we're reading about those 10 plagues, and as Noam said, the 7 first ones are in this parasha, we get the ability to get immune. It's like a vaccine, a spiritual vaccine, just by hearing those verses from the Torah. And of course, when we read about it on Saturday morning, it's the strongest, but even just reading it, it gives us a vaccine against different death energies, because death can be in many ways. It can be actual death, it can be a disease, it can be death in relationship, it can be the feeling of separation between people instead of unity, it can be pain, it can be a broken heart, it can be in your sustenance, it can be in, having money, in many ways. And of course, it can be different plagues like we have today. This is a very, very powerful weekly portion. We literally can get the immune to all those plagues and all those negative entities. We just have to hear the words. And that's why we chose to read you those parts about each plague. This is like a frequency. It's not something that you necessarily have to even understand if you know Hebrew or not. It's just a frequency that goes directly to your soul. The first one is blood. In Hebrew, the word blood is dam. And that's Sfirat Malchut, the sphere of Malchut. That's the lowest sphere that connects to our physical world.
לך אל פרעה בבוקר, הנה יוצא המימה, וניצבת לקראתו על שפת היאור, והמטה אשר נהפך לנחש, תיקח בידיך, ואמרת אליו, אדוני אלוהי העברים שלחני אליך, לאמור, שלח את עמי ויעבדוני במדבר, והנה לא שמעת עד כה. כה אמר אדוני, בזאת תדע, כי אני אדוני, הנה אנוכי מכה במטה אשר בידי על המים אשר ביאור, ונהפכו לדם, והדגה אשר ביאור תמות ובאש היאור, ונלאו מצרים לשתות מים מן היאור. Moshe and Aaron are going to meet Paro on the Nile shore. Moshe demands again from Paro to release the people of Israel. Moshe, in the name of God, is telling Paro that he's going to strike the Nile with the blood plague. The blood spreads all over the water of Egypt. Everywhere that you dig, doesn't matter. Next to the Nile, deep inland, everything becomes blood. When an Egyptian took a cup, it had blood in it. But when an Israelite would take a cup, it had water in it. If an Egyptian wanted to drink water, he had to buy it from the Israelites.
The first strike was on the Niles. In Hebrew, the Nile is called Ye'or. The reason that was the first strike was because the Egyptians, they kind of despised God, and they thought that we have all the control because we worship the nature through our gods, and the Nile is not affected by rain. We can just take the water from the Niles, and they would make all these canals to their fields, and that's it. So the first strike had to go there. Now, when you think about it, Yaor, the Nile, is water. Water should be pure. But the Egyptians, just like in the time of Noah, they made everything so contaminated with their darkness that what really happened was that when the stuff touched the water, it just separated the good, which was the clear good water, from the red, the judgment, the evil black magic of the Egyptians. That's all that happened. It was separating the water, and the black, the bad, the red came to the Egyptians, and the pure went to the Israelites.
The second plague is tzfardea, frogs.
Frogs is Sfirat Yesod, and Yesod is the pipe of sustenance. Again, instead of drawing sustenance down here, they pushed negativity up.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה, בוא אל פרעה ואמרת אליו, כה אמר אדוני, שלח את עמי ויעבדוני, ואם מאן אתה לשלח, הנה אנוכי נוגף את כל גבוליך בצפרדעים, ושרץ היאור צפרדעים, ועלו ובאו בביתך, ובחדר משכבך, ועל מיטתך, ובבית עבדיך, ובעמך, ובתנוריך, ובמשארותיך, ובך ובעמך, ובכל עבדיך יעלו הצפרדעים.
Tzfardea is frog, tzfardeim, frogs. And why frogs, right? Why frogs? So the frogs, they didn't mind sacrificing themselves. As soon as God said, they just went and they did it. And they didn't mind going even into the ovens and into anywhere. They went all over. And the thing is, because they were willing to sacrifice themselves for the light of Hashem, God revived them. And even if they went into the oven, they would go into the bread there that the Egyptians would bake. And inside the bread, they would start to multiply. They would give birth to many, other little frogs. And it would just, once the Egyptians would eat that bread, they would go inside their stomach and would blow them. It was a very nasty, plague. It wasn't like we think. And it would go from the bread, from the food, from everywhere. And a lot of Egyptians died from it.
The next plague is lice, קינים. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, אמור אל אהרון, נטה את מתך והך את עפר הארץ, והיה לקינם בכל הארץ מצרים. ויעשו כן, ויית אהרון את ידו במטהו, ויח את עפר הארץ, ותהי הקינם באדם ובבהמה. כל עפר הארץ היה קינים בכל ארץ מצרים. ויעשו כן החרטומים בלהטיהם להוציא את הקינים, ולא יכלו. ותהי הקינם באדם ובבהמה. ויאמרו החרטומים אל פרעה, אצבע אלוהים היא. Aaron strikes the ground with his staff, and a big cloud goes up, and all of Mitzrayim getting filled up with lice. The lice gets to every corner of Egypt, to the men and women and all the animals. The lice are sucking the bloods of the people of Egypt. This time, the Khartoumim, the magicians of Egypt, cannot do the same thing with their magic. They come to Paro and tell him, this is the hand of God.
So, lice in Hebrew is kinim, and this is the sphira of Hod. And this is the, it's also very powerful because what Hashem wanted to show Paro and all the people, the magicians of Egypt, is that this is such a tiny animal. And it wasn't just the lice that goes, the regular thing, the one that goes on the head. It was like scabies too, that are the one that go under the skin and all over the body. And it shows them, you're so proud of yourself. One tiny animal can make such a mess.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה, השכם בבוקר והתייצב לפני פרעה. הנה יוצא המימה, ואמרת אליו, כה אמר אדוני, שלח עמי ויעבדוני, כי אם אינך משלח את עמי, הנני משליח בך ובעבדיך ובעמך את הערוב, וגם האדמה אשר הם עליה, והפלתי ביום ההוא את ארץ גושן, אשר עמי עומד עליה, לבלתי היות שם ערוב, למען תדע, כי אני אדוני בקרב הארץ. The plague Arov means a swarm of wild beasts. Now, the word Arov in Hebrew means mixing. Now, I want to ask you a question. What is it called mixing? What do we mix over there? What was mixed? Now, the Zohar explains to us that the Egyptians tried to do a lot of black magic and send angels to harm the people of Israel. Now, God switched the name of the angels. And when the Egyptians started to use those names, instead of sending angels, they created a lot of different demonic beasts, mythological creatures. And all those beasts, because they were called in different names, they came and attacked the people of Egypt. Those are people that sent those monsters, and they came by and attacked them.
This plague is also when we're listening to the Torah. It gives us a coat of immune and protection against diseases that their origin is from animals, like the swine flu and so on.
The next plague is the dever. הנה יד אדוני אלוהים במקנך, אשר בשדה, בסוסים, בחמורים, בגמלים, בבקר, בצאן, דבר כבד מאוד. ויפלא אדוני בין מקנה ישראל ובין מקנה מצרים, ולא ימות מכל לבני ישראל דבר. וישם אדוני מועד לאמור, מחר יעשה אדוני הדבר הזה בארץ. ויעש אדוני את הדבר הזה.
So Dever is ספירת תפארת. Arov was the sphere of Netzach. Now Dever is ספירת תפארת. And תפארת, again in the Dever, this is like a disease, a plague, that in this one all the animals of the Egyptians died, but not of the Israelites. And reading this fifth plague is giving us a protection again against diseases that are attacking big groups, okay, big groups of people, like AIDS, God forbid, cancer, and even now, Corona. And we need to know that when there are big plagues in the world, it means that the Satan, the devil, got permission to release negativity in very big quantity into the world. Each and every one of us should think what they can do with their own amazing consciousness. Don't think it's all about the critical mass. Each and every one of us count. Each and every one of us can be, a soldier of light or a soldier of darkness, just like that. So refocus yourself. If your focus went to different places and everything around us is just a setup, there's nothing but God. We talked about it last parasha. En od milvado. So whatever we do with our own consciousness, make sure your consciousness is always on good things. Even when you see things in the reality right now that are alarming, scaring, confusing, seems negative, positive, just stay connected to Hashem. That's number one. Second of all, hearing this as Noam was reading and on Shabbat morning in the synagogues can give you the protection against those plagues and help you stay healthy.
The next plague is Shchin, boils, skin disease. ויאמר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון, קחו לכם מלוא חופניכם, פיח, כבשן, וזרקו משה השמיימה לעיני פרעה. והיה לאבק על כל ארץ מצרים. והיה על האדם ועל הבהמה לשכין פורח אבעבועות בכל ארץ מצרים. ויקחו את פיח הכבשן ויעמדו לפני פרעה, ויזרוק אותו משה השמיימה. ויהי שכין אבעבועות פורח באדם ובבהמה.
So Shechin is Sfirat Gevura. Gevura is a sphere of judgment. And this plague represents all the diseases that attacks different organs in our body. The skin, but also, because every disease is a negative force that managed to enter our body. We all have an aura around us, and usually negativity is first thing is stuck there, and then if we don't clean it or cleanse it, it can eventually go into our body. In this reading, we can really get immune and cleanse negativities that are stuck who knows how long in our bodies.
This plague was so vicious. It created necrosis, gangrene. Body parts started to fall down. It was so scary. People didn't know what to do. It was just like leprosy, but worse. And then they got the next plague, which was hail.
So hail is the sphere of chesed, but also it's very, very interesting to see that the word in Hebrew is barad. And barad, it's the same letters as dever, the fifth plague, just that time it came as the quiet death. And this time the same letters changed from dever to barad, and now it's a very noisy, very, very strong and noisy death.
אותך מסתולל בעמי, לבלתי שלחם. הנני ממטיר כעת מחר ברד כבד מאוד, אשר לא היה כמוהו במצרים, למן היום היווסדה. ועד עתה. ועתה, שלח העז את מקנך, ואת כל אשר לך בשדה, כל האדם והבהמה, אשר ימצא בשדה, ולא יאסף הביתה, וירד עליהם הברד ומתו. This was not an ordinary hail. This hail was not ordinary. These were huge ice rocks with fire going down, destroying everything, killing everybody with fire in them. Now, what was very special about this plague, and the Torah talks about it, is that everybody knew that the plague was coming and the hail was coming, but whoever stayed inside and feared God was not harmed. Only those that were outside got harmed.
This plague is giving us protection against plagues that are coming from our environment and from the atmosphere, outside of our planet, inside our planet, pollution, and so on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
God bless you.